I just wanted to say welcome to the Broskiedoodles Podcast, a podcast that... No, let me start that again. That's not very whack. Welcome to the Broskiedoodles Podcast, the best podcast in all the land. It's your boy, Kiko Flo, Kiko Cervantes. And with us, like every week, is Chef Maurice, one of the best chefs, not only in San Francisco, but in all of the U.S. and the world. Many Michelin stars, today rocking the Washington Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nationals.
All right.
It's you have the M, I have the upside down.
Oh, true. I have the M for the Magallanes, which is the Venezuelan team that I support. And I recently went to see them in the Miami Marlins Stadium.
Although how was the experience?
It was pretty fire. The stadium was empty, but I was happy because as you know, I recently went and visited the U.S., and I wanted to see the new stadium, the Marlins Stadium. But I wasn't able to because there wasn't any games. The season was over. But I was so lucky that they had an event that they just made up where they just grabbed a bunch of teams from the Caribbean, including some Venezuelan teams, and they made like a little tournament for the weekend. And the Sunday that I arrived, I was able to go to see a game and see the stadium. It's extremely expensive to get a beer. It's like $18, right? But I do gotta say the stadium is amazing. It almost feels small. Am I correct? That's where the World Cup was? That's the one where everybody snuck in? Mm-hmm. Okay.
No, the baseball World Cup was there, but I think the one that you're saying that they snuck in was for the Copa America.
Oh, Copa America, but it was there too.
It was also in Miami. It was in the Dolphin Stadium.
Oh, but not in this one.
No, not in that one.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean that part was pretty fun. U.S., I love it. How savage it is. How big it is. How just you get a plate at a restaurant, and it's just big. It's just
it feeds a family of four.
Like I would go and get like appetizers and then get an entree for me and my woman. I found a lot of contrast in how things can be good price or expensive. Like at times we would go into a happy hour and we would get an extremely great value, and then at other times we go to another place, it was extremely expensive and not great service. But then others were like, oh, this is reasonable and it's nice. So I mean, obviously everything a lot more expensive than Europe, that's a given. But even within Miami standards or Florida standards, I felt that there was a lot of places that I loved and some other places that I was like, okay, this is pretty whack and expensive. But that is the contrast of that savage country that I love so much and that you reside in.
You said you went to Orlando. Did you find it expensive as well? Not going to the parks, but like the town as well. Like, I don't know if you went out to dinner or...
Yeah, I mean, what we did is we rented a house with a pool, barbecue. So I did steak a few of the nights. But we did go to, for example, Pizzeria Uno, which I told you I really like. I don't know why they never went to the south of Florida, like Miami, Davie, Sunrise. But in Orlando, it's always been there, so we've always gone as a family. And we went back twice, and I loved it. That was reasonably priced, but I do think that Uno Pizzeria is actually very good value for your money because the pizzas are very filling. So at the end, you're just paying for the drinks. The pizza are not that expensive. But I'm sure, I did go to restaurants in Miami, and some of them were pricey. And I gotta say, like, it's a lot of processed food. It's a lot of fried stuff. It's a lot of, like, and this is like a little hard to confess, but like every night, like every morning is when I go and I defecate, right? Like my routine. And every time I would do that, it was like extreme amounts of material leaving my body. Like it was big dumps. Like where I'm like, oh shit, my body needs to process a lot more stuff and throw it out. So I did feel like I was pounding my body hard, like drinking every day, eating shitty food. It's hard to get away from it because it's everywhere and it's so good. But yeah, it was. I mean, like I always, every time I go, I love it. There's things that are a little bit not within the realm of my preferences, but I love it, and I still think it's a savage place that's so great every time I go.
I looked it up to the pizzeria that you went. It's in the same place it has been for years.
You've been to it?
It hasn't changed. I've been to it when I've been to Orlando, but it hasn't changed. Like it's in the same. I don't know.
Shopping center. I think it's in University Drive or
International Drive.
International Drive. Yeah. So that's where. Am I correct in saying that's where the little fun spot place is, where that accident happened in the tower?
Well, what happened? I don't know.
I think we even reviewed it on maybe you weren't on the podcast back then, but it was like a kid that got on the ride, and then
oh yeah, I remember.
and then the ride wasn't secured safely, and he passed away. I think that's like where the spot is too, in front of it.
That's like the street that all this things are like.
Yeah, like
and also they have all the
Ripley's
restaurants
restaurant.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I think also like a disco is there where people go like, because Orlando has also become like a place where a lot of people from other states come and like party too. I mean, again, this is not Orlando. This is like Kissimmee, right?
Yeah,
Orlando,
just on the outskirts of Orlando.
but I can't remember the name now. But it was something like the yellow toucan or some shit is a place, and you go in parties like a disco and anyways, yeah.
You stayed in an Airbnb?
Yeah, correct.
How was that experience?
It's weird because it felt like a movie, right? Now what happens is you would think, okay, there's a lot of places that rent Airbnbs, but they're within residential communities. But what has happened is people don't really like living in a place where a bunch of houses are Airbnbs. You want to sort of make a community with the people in that community. Like when we used to, be raised in our houses, the people around us were like people that bought houses there, and they're invested in the community, and they want to make sure that everything works. And so that's not what happens now. What happens now is there are communities that are like the entirety of them are houses that are rented for Airbnbs.
For Airbnb.
So when we got there like on Tuesday, the whole thing was empty. Like there was it's like a movie of like all these houses that look exactly the same and nobody on them. And then on the weekend it got full, but it was all people that don't live there. So
right.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, it kind of works because me as a renter for a few days, I kind of don't want to be next to people that live there because they're going to be more conscious about what you're doing and shit.
Right.
So in a way, you kind of want to be with a bunch of strangers that don't live there either, And then if you do live there, you don't want to be with a bunch of people that don't live there. So they're separated. So the area is called Davenport, where we stayed. It's like 30 minutes from the parks. And I got to say, I mean, it's pretty fire. It's got a nice Chick-fil-A, a nice Publix. But from what I understand and my friends told me, it's all houses that are rented for Airbnb. So nobody really lives there, or very few. But it's pretty nice, very modern. Had a pool, had a barbecue, big spaces.
It feels like it was completely stuck up, so you can do all these fun things that only had to be.
Yeah, exactly. So we were able to cook at the house, and to be honest, you just get to cook better things, and like nice steaks and shit.
Maybe not spend as much.
Yeah, maybe not spend as much.
Save a couple of bucks.
And also, like I did a breakfast a morning with like eggs and bacon, and we did waffles in this bitch, So nice. It was like, we made it nice. And then in the weekend, my cousin came with his kiddos. So then we did like a little Friendsgiving with the kiddos, and we did painting. I feel like an uncle, Uncle Kiko. And then on all the rides that we would go on the weekend, I have a 13-year-old nephew. My cousin, he started young. So this nephew of mine, he loves the rides, right? He's not scared of them. He's not like you don't want to ride on them. No, he wants to ride all of them, but he wants me as his partner. Mm. So I would ride with him. I would tell my girlfriend, hey, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm with my nephew now, so you go sit alone.
Are you? Did you get the deep dish at the pizza place?
Yeah, that's the one that you should get when you go to this place, and it's more like a pie. Yeah, pepperoni. We got a pepperoni. I also got the Uno one, which has like mushrooms, peppers, and meatballs. So it's amazing.
You coming from Spain? Mm-hmm. It's like something you want to do, but what does your family think when you tell them, "Oh, I want to go to this place"? They're like,
to the Pizzeria Uno.
Yeah.
Well, with my family, I think it was like a win for all of us because we all liked that place since we were little. And I think my dad even has like an attachment to it when he used to take us to Disney back in the day, though. So I think it's kind of like a family thing now. And now we went back, and to be honest, We went to one before the one in International Drive. Because the International Drive, that one is pretty nice. The day before, a few days before, we went to another one where the treatment was good, but you could see the place was just forgotten. Like, it was in another location in Orlando. But anyways, yeah, it was great. The parks were amazing. I went to Busch Garden and SeaWorld the first few days. It was empty, so I was able to ride everything. I had forgotten how active and strong the rides are. So I got reminded. I feel like an old man. But I rode everything. So it was pretty fun. I had time of my life, and now I gotta clean my body up. I feel like a proper Spanish person that goes to the U.S. would have a hard time with food, I would think.
I think that's one of the biggest issues that Europeans have when they come over.
Because I love it. I love it, right? And even to me, it was hard going from all the food I eat here. Because even if I want to eat bad in Spain, there's certain foods that aren't even allowed by law. But in the U.S., you can just go all out, and I kind of went all out. And I think if you're not into shit like that, then it's gonna be hard for you to find a place where you can get some real food.
You think they're taking what's the name of the pill that you take so you don't get like heartburn and
omeprazole?
Do you think that they travel with a little kit?
I don't know if they do, but I definitely did, and I took one every morning.
You did for other reasons, age. And I don't know.
Hey, what the fuck? I'm 36. I shouldn't be going through this shit. No, I would recommend people that aren't if heavy things are gonna hit your stomach bad, then take omeprazole every morning when you're there. This is like the how you prepare an European to go to the U.S. All right, you gotta be in top physical shape before you go.
I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
You came to the U.S. As we all know, you kind of grew up here. But the funny thing is your partner, it was the first time that she came to the U.S., correct?
Yeah.
Did she get to experience the American experience? Did she go out and see somebody with a gun?
Hey, chill. I'll be honest with you. Aside from a gun violent situation, it couldn't have been a more American vacation. I mean, granted, we're in Florida, right? But we went to the places we went to Brickell, we went to Calle Ocho in Miami, in Orlando, we went to a lot of the parks, we went to Disney Springs. She was able to get to see the Sawgrass malls where in 3 weeks we did a whole year's amount of things that you could do. We didn't go to the beach because it was just too many activities. But I think she really got to soak up a proper how America is. And to be honest, she loved it. I mean, we loved it. We every time I go, I've liked it. But this time it was a proper vacation, and it was pretty fire, I gotta say.
I'm very. I want to know what she thinks or she thought about going to the mall, because going to the mall in Spain and going to the mall somewhere like Sawgrass, it has to be a different experience.
No, her brain exploded. She couldn't stay away from the stores. You had to pull her and okay, we're leaving type shit. Because otherwise you could just go. And I'll be honest, I mean, I had to tell myself, and I'm not a shopper, but I had to tell myself look, we're going for 2 pairs of shoes, a couple of shirts, and a few jeans. So let's get that shit done. And I was able to do it because my mom works at a store inside that I liked, so she was able to get me some stuff from there at a good price. Then I got some things at the Levi. I got some New Balance shoes on Black Friday, great price. And then that's it. I sat at the bar and I drank a beer. I wasn't gonna be part of this wild, Black Friday stuff. But the other days that we went to the mall, it was pretty cool, and she liked it. I mean, it's like a girl's dreams to have all these stores next to each other and actually be affordable, right? Because they have all these discounts, and that's one thing that's affordable in the U.S., like shoes, clothes.
Yeah, it feels like it was a great experience for her. I'm more worried about her than your experience.
No,
because
it seems.
For somebody who has never been to the U.S. and then all of a sudden it's hit with, big ass plates of food, all kinds of food, all kinds of restaurants, all kinds of stores, malls, and then you get to see
so much space. She wouldn't see like anywhere where you could walk. Like you needed to have a vehicle, right? And my sister would drive us around in this huge ass SUV. And one thing I noticed in the US is that I don't even see cars anymore. Like everyone has an SUV. Like everyone, right? And everyone's just big. It's like another species, really. But I love it. She loved it. It was amazing for her. And we were able to, thankfully, this time around, go with a budget where we were able to like really have fun. And she was able to experience like the real, like American lifestyle.
Did she get to see cowboys? People with boots and a hat.
No, I mean, we couldn't go through the whole U.S., but no, I mean, she saw a lot. And I mean, there's things like that are missing that we want to go back to, like the beach. We wanted to go to the Gulf Stream, horse racing track, and like see what that's about. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we still missing, but yeah, it was great. I hope people like, the updates on my life, but I do feel a little weird just giving you all of this. I did want to have a conversation about series. And I don't mean Siri like the one, oh, Siri, can you put this or that? Like series, TV shows, right? And we talked about this on the podcast many times because I have a thing against these TV shows that don't take you anywhere. And we recently saw Severance, which is not new. It's by Apple TV. Directed by Ben Stiller. And I gotta say, I mean, I liked a lot of it, but I did want to use it as an example for TV shows that I don't even know if when they pitch them, they have an ending already written or if they're like improvising along the way. And that kind of bothers me. With Severance, I love that the whole world that they put you in is very submersive and you really feel in there. And there's a lot of analogies and metaphors with work and how corporate world is. So there's a lot of things that are cool about it. But then I'm like, are we really going to like a climatic ending with something that makes sense? Or are you just leaving? Because how the show ended, I mean, I wasn't completely disappointed. I think that, okay, I mean, you gave us something and then a second season is coming. But shouldn't there be more after I watched 10 hours of your content? Like, shouldn't there be more answers? Or, like a movie, you have to resolve an issue. And that's what gives you pleasure. Like, oh, this story. But I feel like a lot of these shows, there's another one called From. There's another one called, like, Shadows or Black or Dark. It's all, like, very vague names. And it's always, like, it's just confusing shit that never gets to resolve anything. And I know you've seen a couple shows more aside from this one, but I wanted to get your opinion on this, on Severance, on other shows, and also, do you think that, am I right in thinking this way?
I think it's interesting. I love the show. I really liked it because of the suspense and how it keeps you wanting more. It keeps you wanting, like, you couldn't. Once you finish the first episode, you're like, okay, I'm invested. Give me second and third. And then I think the twists that they give you are interesting, to say the least. I thought how they approach who the wife is was very interesting, and who she was and how close they are actually. I don't know if we should give much away, even though the show is.
I mean, the show's 2 years ago. Yeah. I mean, you can spoil it. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck. Now I want to know more about the wife because I feel like the wife wasn't Severance. I felt like she was trapped in this world, that she knew what was going on. Maybe she, throughout the series, they're telling you that she died, she passed away. And in this world, I feel like she's not Severance, right? She's part of this experiment, but she's, where they met at the break room. Yeah. Right. Where Mark, who's the guy, and I forgot her name. Gemma, I think it was.
Gemma.
They're like walking towards each other in the break room, she gave him this look of, I know who you are. I know you're outie, as they call it in the out
She
in
said
this
that.
world. No, but she gave you the feeling that
Okay.
she knew, because she got fired, but that didn't mean that she left the company. She was just sent to another level, because it seems like he has different levels. And as they were walking towards each other, she looked at him like, maybe I'm not going to see you again, and now I'm really dead to you. But
Right. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna know what happened with the wife and why they took her. Because I almost think there's a part where the boss tells Mark, "Oh, at one point, I'm sorry for what I had to do," and I almost think that they faked the death so that they could take the wife away, and then because she was causing some issues in the company. I don't know. We're gonna find out, but I do feel like, damn, it's 10 hours already because it's nine episodes, 9 hours. Come on, I mean, like I think they should have gave us more. I'll be honest, with the standard of TV shows recently, this is a pretty good one. Because even without the finalization of the story, I like all the little details and bits and like how they create this world, and there's like this uncomfort humor with the other boss. That's the one that does the parties, like the waffle parties, and he does this weird dance. So all of that I like, but I just feel like you gave me too little on that ending. And now I'm stuck to watching a second season. And look, let's say that you tell me, no, this whole thing takes 2-3 seasons for me to tell you. But we already got the story, this master story, or we already got it and we're just giving it to you. But if I know that this shit is not written and they're just making it up as they go, then that does bother me. Because it's like you don't take me on these rabbit holes unless you have like an ending to it that's gratifying and makes sense in a way, I think.
You gotta think that they have this way of writing the series to make it longer,
Right, but
right?
that isn't that conducive to shit entertainment? Because now you're just doing things to stretch them rather than to hit.
But I mean, yeah, they're always going to look money wise, and then for their benefit, it would be better to make a season 2 or season 3, and then like you said, stretch it and give you a little bit less, but at the end, I'll give you a good ending, rather than, I don't know. Would have been good to finish everything off first season and kind of tell you, all the storylines and finish all the storylines. Yeah, it would have been great. It's just going to give you more, and probably some of the new episodes from the new season are going to be fillers. Like maybe we get some background stories on some of the other characters, and they're just going to be filler episodes to make it longer. And I believe season 2 is actually going to be 10 episodes. This one was 9, and then the next one's going to be 10. So how much longer can you stretch it?
I understand
You
they
know,
gotta make money out of it. So okay, let's say this could have been a season, but you make it 2. But if it's more than that, then it's like, go fuck yourself. I heard like Quentin Tarantino on the Joe Rogan podcast talk over the last few days, and he was specifically talking about TV shows. And he put it in a way where it finally made sense to me, because I've been talking about why these TV shows are not my thing. And then he put it in a way, he said, look, at the end of the day, it's not a movie, it's still a TV show. And what does he mean by that? Is that, you had The Simpsons, right? Or Scrubs, or Family Guy. And these are shows that you could just watch one episode and you'll enjoy it because you already know what the characters are. And each episode, those characters are in a new adventure. So these are types of TV shows that you don't remember a specific storyline because there's not really stories. It's just the same characters with their funny personalities doing a little adventure every episode, right? Like The Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park, whatever. You don't need to follow it all. You don't need to see it all. And the thing is, with this new shows now, they make it long, but they're not giving you the little entertainment on each episode that you would have gotten from Family Guy or South Park. Like, South Park understands that the stories from different episodes, but they know they need to give you a banger on that episode for you to continue to watch. Because there's nothing else outside of the little adventures that the characters have. But on a TV show like Severance, where what you're trying to tell me is that this is a long movie, a 20-hour movie, and I need to explain it in so long so that you can see all the details. Perfect. But it still has to have an arc and an ending that's compelling. If at the end you're just throwing little things and confusing me just to extend this, because this is what happened with Westworld. Westworld in HBO was really good, but then after the first season, it almost felt like, oh, you don't have an ending and now you need to extend it. Or maybe they had an ending, but the executives told them, no, you need to make this shit longer. And that bothers me. Like, why can't you just end it and make it a good thing? That's why I find like the series of the O.J. Simpson trial, it's like 6 episodes. I find it so good because it tells a story, it goes into detail, but then it ends it. You need the fucking ending so that the whole thing can fucking hit you in the face. And Quentin Tarantino said, after I watch all these shows like South Park, I don't remember them because there's no story to remember. After you watch a movie, it sticks with you after years because you remember the story. But if there's no ending and everything's just open-ended, I don't know. That's how I feel. But maybe there's people that enjoy it. Maybe you like it. Maybe you're like, look, I like, even if it's not going anywhere, I enjoy them.
Now, you want to give it a rating of what you thought
Severance?
out of 5. Let's give it a
Out of 5, out of 10. Right?
out of 10.
Out of 10
guitars.
Look, as it stands now, I will give it a 6.
Okay.
Depending
It's
on
passing.
season 2, if it resolves things and actually completes a story, it can even go up to an 8. But it depends.
I think that from this first season, it gives you so much to kind of grab from, right? Because we only see one real office, let's call it like that, where you see the four main characters all the time. But they give you the idea that there are different levels, other offices, why are goats there? It gives you more to kind of expand this world that you're watching. So I see it as it's probably going to be a longer thing to resolve. It's probably going to take 2 seasons,
2 or 3 seasons, okay.
2 or 3 seasons. Hopefully not, because I don't want this to run 7 seasons and never give me a fucking ending.
Like, I understand 3 seasons, you could make it that long. But then after that, then you just like, because this happened with Lost. I didn't see Lost or The Walking Dead. But from what I understand, people that like, I mean, there's fans that just like it anyways. But from people that have analyzed it correctly, they say, look, those shows were fun the first 2 episodes. And then after that, it just drags. And they just need to find a new thing to keep you stuck on. And I don't like that. And, yeah.
I watched a lot of The Walking Dead. And then I got bored of it. I think I saw the first 6 or 7 seasons, like religiously. Like on Sundays, I would watch it. But after a while, it just became the same redundant, they become a community. They have to move. There's some bad people. They have to move again. They start killing people. It's like, it's very same story. So I got tired of it. And I hope, and I wish like stories like this, I think you can grab a lot from it and not make it too long.
Yeah.
Because we're also used to early 2000s or early 2010s where series are, 20 seasons, 22 episodes a season, and it's too much.
Yeah, but also there were series and shows that didn't really matter if you follow the storyline. For example, I mean, I guess there's exceptions, right? But Entourage, right? It didn't really matter where you were watching it. You knew you were just going to have fun on the episode. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, whatever the fuck, Friends. I never liked it. But you don't need to care about, you don't need to know anything else. You're going to have fun on that episode. But the problem of today is that these multiple seasons for entertainment, and you're not giving me things on every episode. The only thing you're giving me is at the end of the season, and it's like a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying the rest of Severance was pretty good, and I love the actors, and I think that there's a lot of it that's really good. But I just hope they have a whole thing scripted for it, and it's not one of these things where they're making up shit on the go, which a lot of shows become that. Like I wouldn't even mind watching a show again because I liked it if it's good. So
to be honest, I started watching it and I thought it was going to be like a funny series, right? A funny storyline. Because you see, it's Ben Stiller, it's Adam Scott, who used to be in Parks and Rec.
Step Brothers too, yeah.
Then all of a sudden you see Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
I thought it was great. He did great. That was a great character for him.
And then Joe Torturo.
It was perfect. I think the cast was very good.
Yeah, it was really good, yeah.
The sister, and I thought that what they did of like, all right, we find out that you can get switched on and off, and how they're like, all right, we'll go as Audis, and then once we're outside, we'll switch it on, and we try to tell someone what the fuck is going on.
Right. No, it was a good plan.
Yeah, and you kind of had an idea. I mean, to be honest, when I was watching the moment where the sister is about to give birth and she finds another woman who, talked to her, and then all of a sudden she didn't remember her. Mm-hmm. At the moment, I wasn't thinking, oh, you can get switched on and off. But I like how they did that part of like, all right, this woman, something's going on with this woman.
What I thought is that woman got severed, but on purpose. So
I was more naive in that sense. I'm like,
yeah. So what I think, no, but I mean, later is when I realized it more. Where I think herself in the evening, whatever, is like the one that takes care of the baby, and then the one in the morning is her real self, the one that has fun and shit. Yeah, it's there's a lot of things to be resolved there, and I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt because everything else about the series is good. The coloring, the use, the color palette, everything just looks. It takes you to that world, and you feel the tension inside the rooms and inside the offices. It also alludes a little bit to like Soviet Union, communism, where like the Kier is watching type shit and we need to follow the thing for the Kier. So there's a lot of things that I hope are done on purpose and with purpose and not just like little things for you to, go on rabbit holes on. Is there any... Yeah.
No, I was going to ask, would you, let's say this is a real world, would you want to be part of this Severance world?
Sure, let's talk about that. So for the people that haven't seen the show, Severance, what the show is about is people are able to choose in a sort of similar world as of now, but like in the near future, 20 years in the future, you'll be able to like divide your brain so that the 8 hours you go to work, you're a different person. And then when you come home, you're a different person. So essentially it's two people. The one that is at work, the only thing they experience is work. So their days, they don't even go to sleep. They just go from awake to awake to awake, always at the office. And the one that's outside pretty much just lives a life, normal life without working.
Right. But the thing that they make clear is that, we want to separate these two worlds. Mm-hmm. As perhaps I've never worked in a corporate world, but in a restaurant world where I've been, you kind of want to have that outside influence of your day-to-day life not affect your work life, right? And I think that's where they want to show you this, how you can separate both or try to separate both, and still it's hard to keep it separate because you're at work and you're thinking about your home problems. And I think in a way, for a corporate person, it could be something that more than just us could do. Maybe they do want to do.
You think
this.
people like more people than we expect might want to do this?
I
right?
think so.
Yeah, if you have a shitty corporate job, but the thing is, you gotta understand, and this is why I don't see it as viable. It's like there is gonna be a part of you there that's gonna be living like a hell because they never sleep, they never get out of the office, and then also that there's and I think we're gonna find out about this in the future episodes. It's like that whatever you do at work or whatever you do at home, you're gonna bring it to the other world, even if it's just your emotions, right? Like I think the lady told somebody like, oh, you might think that what you do there, like you might think that you're sad in the real world but not in the office, but you can still feel the sadness. So I think at the end, for better or for worse, you don't want to divide your brain into your work and your house because you kind of want to manage that yourself. When you're working in the kitchen and you're doing the things that you need to do and you get maybe a little bit unmotivated, you can think, fuck, I do this for my kids and for my wife. And then that gets you back into it. So I think you kind of need both of them because they help you feed the other. So in a way, I think there's going to be maybe a message in the series that even wanting to divide those things is like wanting to divide your life when that's all part of who you are. Like your work ethics, you should bring that home. And then the things that you learn at home and the emotions and the happiness that your family brings you, you should bring that to work. And I think it's sort of like a... Did I just solve the series right now?
Well, in this case, we see as Mark, lost his wife, and he wanted to kind of like not feel anything throughout his work. He says that he was a teacher or a professor in a university, and that affected him and the way he worked. So, he saw this chance of being 8 hours with no outside feelings, let's call it that, no grievance, no sadness. And then he saw this and he took it. And in the other hand, you can see Haley R wanting, from the second she got in, she wanted out.
Right.
She had to repeat this statement more than 1,000 times. She tried to take her own life. She tried to do, escape, and she was always caught. So it's interesting how they develop these characters and make you see, perhaps make you feel what you're there. You would be there, and then you could have both feelings of, all right, I'm not feeling sad, or damn, I don't want to leave this life and just want to. No,
I think it's a great concept. I think what a lot of these showrunners do is they use really nice, interesting concepts like Westworld. The concept of that is that these people are technically like robots in this fake world where you go just to have fun, but then they realize they're robots, and then they actually want to be real people now. And like that's all very interesting. And it was for the first season, but then you see they don't have a conclusion to all of it. And I would just love like a story. Like yesterday I watched Gladiator 2. And okay, it wasn't surprising that it wasn't as great as the first one. I get it. Yes, it wasn't going to live up to that. And to be honest, there was a lot of things that I could criticize on it. But I had been so tired of watching a couple of shows. I mean, Severance bothered me, but I still enjoyed it, and I'm happy I watched it. But that didn't get to an ending. That when I watched this simple movie that was predictable, you knew what was going to happen, and then the ending came, and then the deaths and the killings and the things, I was kind of satisfied. I was like, yeah, I kind of wanted to see a story with a start, a middle, and an ending. And not just be in this limbo of, oh, well, what does this mean? And then maybe at the end of it all, it's like, oh, no, nothing meant anything. It's just life is weird and strange. Because that's what happens. I mean, you watch Stranger Things. I don't know if they did that with that. But it doesn't necessarily have an ending. It's kind of like an ongoing thing.
Right.
I mean, that has its place also for people that enjoy that. But I just feel like some series... tell me if I'm wrong. Stranger Things might not have an ending, but every episode is suspenseful and has interesting things that get you caught on it.
Yeah.
Whereas other shows don't have an ending and don't have excitement within each show. So at the end of the day, it's like, what do you have? You just like suspense, waiting for something that never happens. That's what it is, a lot of these shows.
They just try to grab, the viewer and make them last, make you pay the subscription to watch the second season. That's ultimately that. I think that's what they're also trying to do.
Yeah, they are. And I hope that viewers get smarter and start wanting better shows. Because I wouldn't mind a show, but the problem is that they're so long and they don't get to anywhere that it's like I feel you're just taking advantage of my time. Whereas in the past, a director had to think, how do I fit an hour and a half in this story and tell it and make it cool and entertaining at the same time as fulfilling? That's a challenge.
Yeah.
So even if you watch like Breaking Bad, one of the best shows there has been, I watched it late, like a few years ago. And I liked it, and I enjoyed it, and I'm happy I watched it. It was a very nice cinematic adventure where he takes a whole story, makes it very long, and goes deep into the characters. But at least a third of that was filler episodes. And that's a great show.
Yeah.
Imagine the rest. It's like 60-70% of it is just filling. So
Yeah, that's what happens when you make, like I said before, makes a lot of seasons and you also have a lot of episodes. You know, like I don't know if you ever saw How I Met Your Mother. It has like 10 seasons, and then each season has 20 something episodes. So there has to be a lot of filler episodes, a lot of filler characters and storylines that are not going to go anywhere, but you just need to make the people keep watching.
yeah.
The good thing, or what I'm seeing here, is that they were nominated for a lot of awards. I don't know if that counts for people
Severance?
who watches. Yeah, Severance. Like a lot of Golden Globes, and they were nominated, and they won a lot of other stuff. So I think that has to, it makes it good. It makes people talk about it. They're like, "Oh, have you seen the show? It has a lot of awards." It kind of grabs the people and
Right, but I mean, it doesn't matter if the thing sucks, if it grabs people or not. What matters is if it's good, right? So if you won those awards, hopefully it's because it is good. And the good thing about watching it now, because we took like 2 years before I even knew about it, is that in about a month, we'll have the second season ready. So we can just watch it.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, we can watch it fresh.
Because if we would have talked about this a year or two ago, we would have been mad that we had to wait so long.
And then
for it.
what's going to happen when the new season comes? You're going to have to watch the first one again. Because otherwise, what the fuck? You're not going to remember like the details, the computer, the numbers that they were using, which were really weird on this series. I'm almost thinking all of that is going to mean nothing. They're not doing anything. I think it's just for show. They put them to do something, but they're really just testing how they can divide these people and make the technology. That's what I think. I do hope that there's a sexual scene between Christopher Walken and George Turturro.
I think it got close a couple of times.
Because they were about to do a little kissy and then they stopped. And I was already hard.
Yeah, they're always being watched. It kind of surprises me that it feels like they don't know that they're being watched all the time.
Yeah, like there's times when they're like, "Oh, let's do this," and it's like, yeah, they know everything. Like, but I think it's because they're kind of like kids, right? They behave like kids when they're in the world of the working.
Well, what I think is that since they're in this job, all they know is work. I think one of them mentioned. I might be wrong. But I think that one of them mentioned something about not knowing what dogs are. And I think it was John Turturro. And then when he comes out and then he's brought back in the outside world and he sees a dog, he's like, I think that's what I remember.
Okay.
In that last episode that he's actually going to see Christopher Walken.
Correct.
And he sees that Christopher Walken has another man. But now I talked to my significant other about this. I'm like, if you're gay in the outside, are you still gay in the inside? And they did show that. They did show that, Christopher
Right, so
Walken,
your sexual preferences stay the same.
Stay the same.
Because what will be fucked up is that if you have a gay outie and a straight innie, and then every morning you wake up and you're like, why does my ass hurt? And you have no recollection of anything. And then you tell your doctor, no, I'm not gay. And then he says, and why do you have a gaping hole in your behind? So it's a lot of strange things can happen. I also thought, what happens if you get pregnant? Like,
And then you go into the job and you're like, what the fuck happened to me?
Yeah, what is it?
I have a big ass belly. What's going on?
I mean, there's a bunch of holes that we could look at, like, oh, this wouldn't make sense, that wouldn't make sense. But at the end of the day, we're entertaining it. We're entertaining the idea to see what comes out of it. I love the performances. I think they make it look very eerie, very uncomfortable, and you feel that anxiety. And there's a lot of relationship to how it works in the corporate world. When they would have like, the waffle party or the dance party, and then it would be like, how is this fun? And it reminded me of me being in corporate events where they're doing all this weird shit, and you also have to act like, oh yeah, we're having fun. And it's like, no, this is so weird. You know what I mean? Like, so
Mhm.
they showed that, they conveyed that very well, and I appreciated that.
I I liked it. I liked the show. It kept me hooked. Um, and I'm probably gonna watch the second season just to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
The dance party was very. It was a nice, funny moment right there where he needed it.
Yeah, and it was such a specific type of humor.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that other boss, the black dude,
yeah.
I think that's my favorite character in the
Character.
series because he's able to make these faces like nothing's happening, right? And then he goes, and it's just so crazy. It's cringe as hell. It's weird. It's just odd. And at the end of the day, you kind of feels like a nightmare, right? Like what a nightmare would be, when you're trying to escape and you can't escape the nightmare. And then you find out that the Haley R's Audi like knows that she hates it but doesn't care. It's like, no, I'm the boss, bitch. You know,
Well, she's. I from what I understood, she's the wife or the daughter
the
of
granddaughter of
the
Kier,
granddaughter, right? And oh,
Kier, or
one
the
thing I wanted to say,
Egans.
it gives you a very culty vibe,
Yeah, very
very
Scientology
culty,
type shit.
super culty,
Yeah, yeah.
super culty. By the way, the actor, his character's name is Milchick, who's like a security guard.
Yeah,
Tramel Tillman, that's his real name.
that guy was so good.
Very good actor, very good personification of this character. But yeah, it's very culty. You know when she was doing the numbers. Apparently, they had to meet a quota, and she was doing the numbers, and she was very focused. And at the end, you see the I forgot the name, the guy who invented the Severance, in like a pixelated flying kind of thing, and then he's always there, like there's a picture of him, or there's like a taxidermy of him.
Yeah.
It's very, and they sing the songs about him, and they have to say all this.
It's very Soviet Union, like communist too, like this whole allegiance to the leader. It's fucking weird, and I mean, I'm all for it. I'm gonna watch the second season. I hope it goes somewhere. I'm really putting hopes behind it, and yeah, I'll see what it brings. It seems that Apple is coming out with more and more shows that apparently are good. I haven't seen the others. Have you seen any other shows from Apple?
Uh, can't remember. Yes is the answer. Oh, Ted Lasso. I don't know if you ever saw
Oh,
it.
but that's like a funny one, right?
Like
That's
like a funny one.
and
Yeah.
that's good.
It's good. It's good. I mean, it's very wholesome. It's very it shows you what a lot of, let's say, behind the scenes, or other what players go through, and it's fake. You can see that some of the actions are fake, but it's more than, it's not about sports. The storyline is not about sports. It's a little bit more than that.
Is it
This
is it similar to like Kenny Powers, Eastbound and Down?
Yes, minus the profanity and
Okay.
some of the drugs and
Okay, so it's a little more wholesome.
yeah, it's a lot more wholesome. And I've heard about Shrinking with Harrison
yes.
Ford
No, it's not Harrison
and,
Ford. I think it's
and
Matt
Jason
Damon.
Segel.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I haven't seen it. I want to watch it, and yeah, I think the one that you're saying about
Yes,
Matt
maybe.
Damon.
Yeah, it's a different one, but it's about
It's a different one?
becoming smaller as a human. No.
I think that was a movie.
Yeah.
Let me see if
Okay, but
if-
Shrinking is something else.
Yeah, it's like a series, and I don't know what's about. I'm guessing it's about going on the shrink. Okay, it says a grieving therapist starts to break the rules by telling his clients exactly what he thinks.
And this is a movie or a show?
It's a show. Yeah, it's a series, and it has I don't know 10 episodes so far. I don't know if they're coming out with more. But yeah, It just came out last year.
Okay.
I think Apple TV is doing a lot of good shows. I don't watch it because you have to pay for the subscription, but for some reason we have 3 months for free, so that's why we're watching all the series now.
Okay.
But they're doing good things. They also had Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell, the morning show, or I think that was the name of it.
Okay.
It already ended, from my understanding, and it was like 1 or 2 seasons, and it was something about, let's say, Anchorman, but more serious.
Okay.
Again, I haven't seen it, but that's what I think it is about.
There's this movie that I wanted to watch, and I kind of like the concept of it. It's by Kevin Costner, and it's like an Indians and Cowboys movie.
Okay.
I think it's called like Horizon or some shit. But what he did is each movie is like 3 hours and a half. So he has a part 1 and part 2. So together we're talking about 7 hours. But it's gonna have an ending. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's called Horizon, an American saga. Yeah, chapter 1. So it's like a Western, but it seems pretty fire, and I think it has like this format where it's a long story. We're gonna go deep into characters, but it's gonna have an ending.
Does it have to do with the series Yellowstone? Do you know?
No, it doesn't. But I know where you're coming from. No, it's not about Yellowstone. I think it's more about the era with the Indians and how those fights came to be. So Yellowstone is a little bit more forward in time. I think it's more related to the other series, which I think is called like 1876 or some shit. Yeah. So it's more, I think, even before that. I think this is more like even before all that, where like the Indians and the Cowboys were just getting to meet each other. And, it wasn't to play musical chairs.
It feels like Kevin Costner loves doing this Westerns. I don't know if you ever saw Dancing with the Wolves. And I think he does a lot of other cowboy-ish.
Yeah, he loves him. I think he did. He did a bunch of these. He did the Yellowstone shows too. He loves. I really like him.
Very good actor.
And I heard him speak. I heard him speak in a podcast recently to like an historian that I listened to, and he was such a cool dude. Very much the type to think, you work hard, you get your things done, you're a man, whatever, or a woman. But, you carry yourself with pride, and you go about your life and you do the things you got to do.
Very good actor. Field of Dreams. Never saw it?
I got to see that movie. I haven't watched it. Dancing with the Wolves, I haven't watched it.
Have you seen Bad Monkey? That's on Apple TV.
Bad Monkey, no.
With Vince Vaughn?
No.
Maybe that should be our next series.
It's a series.
I think so.
Okay.
It has.
We need to search for one that finishes like with one season.
Okay.
But this one I don't know.
I feel like you don't like waiting for an ending. You want it to be resolved right away.
I mean, not right away, but after 10 hours, I kind of want that story to end and I can move on to another story. I think that's fair.
This one has 4 episodes.
Oh, okay. But it's probably coming out every week or some shit.
Well, it says that the last episode came out in August. So.
Okay. I mean, if it's like because that to me is like, just a long movie. Okay, I watch a long movie. But don't fucking get me to watch. I mean, Game of Thrones is the only one that I've done many seasons for. And I'm still right now on like season 5 just because it got a little boring. Like, it did bore me a bit. It's like, come on, let's get to the fucking thing. Like, how long does it take for these dragons to grow? Okay,
it has 10 episodes. Sorry.
Okay.
The Bad Monkey. And it just finished in October.
Okay. Well, we could watch it.
Maybe that'll be our homework for next week.
All right. I mean, I do want people to also let us know, hey, what you thought of Severance. Are there any shows now that you're like, hey, Kiko, I know that you ain't about this life, But believe me, this show right here, dog, is on some fuego. You sit down with a bunch of Funyuns and beef jerky, and you get a little jerky going on your own, you're going to have a fun time. It's going to take you through a wild ride. It's going to take 9 episodes, but at the end of it, you're going to have a great happy ending, a culmination, classication. So that's what I'm talking about. If you have a show like that, hey, this is the one. If you have a movie that you recently watched, I watched Juror #2, Clint Eastwood movie. Pretty good. Pretty good. I gotta say, Clint Eastwood, I don't love his movies, but they always have an ending. Some are not great endings, some are decent endings, but endings nevertheless. So I recommend that one. Juror #2. It's a pretty cool thriller. And also gets you to question, what would you do? So let me set the stage for you. You get called for jury duty, right? For people in the U.S. know, by law, if you get a letter that says, hey, you've been called to be a jury in a trial, you gotta go. They do some.
You can get out of it.
You can get out of it. There's certain ways to get out of it, but it's not easy. I mean, unless it's like a real thing. But otherwise, you're stuck with it. And this guy was stuck with it. And it was about a person that had died a year before that was found like next to a road. And they say the boyfriend killed her after getting out of the bar that was a little bit before. Like, she left the bar and she started walking on the road. And everybody thought, oh, well, the boyfriend fought her, he killed her, so then the cops. And then the juror starts remembering, fuck, a year ago, around those roads, I hit a deer. And I got out, and I didn't see no deer, and I just kept going about my life. So now this whole story unravels, and it's pretty cool. So as a movie, I found it to be very entertaining, and also takes you through all these little weird places in your mind. What would you do, So I recommend it.
May have to watch it. Sounds interesting.
Yeah. I think you should.
Yeah.
And it's one that you can, finish before the baby wakes up. It's not 25 episodes.
That's important.
I think that helps. All right. Any last recommendations before we seal it for the day?
Get some time for yourself. I don't know. That's my recommendation.
If you wouldn't have said the last part, it would have actually been a very wholesome advice. I will follow it up. Let me piggy ride that. Get time for yourself. Also, I know this sounds very like Auntie May. I know it sounds very cliche, but...
Wait. Before you say anything, Auntie May, what's her name on her real life name?
You mean the most recent Auntie May?
Yes.
Yeah, Marisa Tomei.
60, and she's looking amazing.
Marisa Tomei is fuegos. This lady is so amazingly fine. And I was able to see
60, dude.
60, bro. And I saw last name Nielsen, the lady from Gladiator. She was on Gladiator 2.
Okay.
Still holding up, 60 years too. But Marisa Tomei is on another level. Now I'm gonna have to search photos for that. God damn it. Okay. Auntie May. No, but
Your
what I was
personal time goes right there.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that look, you need personal time. You need time to breathe in. But also when things get a little sad, like today I was with my producer earlier on working on the album, and he was like, man, I'm getting depressed. And I'm like, God damn it, this guy is always happy. He's getting depressed. Like, where have we gotten? And I think, even though it sounds very cliche, very, hallmarky, gratitude. Like, be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the health that you have to the extent that you have it. Be grateful for the people that are still around. Because, man, in this last trip that I took, I realized how amazing life is, but I also realized how brittle.
A mushroom trip?
I almost took a chocolate bar. No, but you realize how brittle, how vulnerable life is, and we just need to enjoy it every day and be thankful for that. Even if it's not a religious thankful. I'm just grateful that the universe exists and that I was able to exist right now and experience this shit with you guys too. So if you're listening to this, you're in a shit corporate job, you're running, or you just cheated on your girlfriend,
Get the chip.
Take a breather.
Get Severance.
And appreciate the people around you. All right?
Those are some touching words.
Well, I mean, except you trolled on them, so I don't know how much they touch you fucking idiot. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. San Francisco in the house. Kiko Flo, as always, every week with you guys. We're back, and this is fresh out the kitchen. So please comment, leave the reviews. We're on Spotify, iTunes, all the platforms, TikTok, and thank you for tuning in. The few, the strong.